Hey, my name's Allison. I'm at Cornell Drupal camps at the end of September. Ithaca is absolutely beautiful at the end of September. It's not cold yet. It's beautiful and wonderful, leaves changing, etc. I will not say gorgeous. That is what I have to say about that. Oh, and I have some palm cards about that, so please. Help yourself. Okay, so we're going to talk about... No, I don't have that many, but sorry. But it's just, I appreciate it, thank you. It's just camp.drupal. If you Google it, it does come up. That's, So we're going to talk about Git in kind of an intermediate way. I'm going to try to not spend too much time talking about things that you can Google anyway. I might even ask for some do you already know this? And then we'll see what happens. If it's unanimous, then we'll move on. And maybe if people have pain points that they've brought to the session, I would love to go through them. I will do my best to help you, or maybe other people will help too, and we'll see what happens. Basically, I'm trying to organize this in a way of like important conceptual thing and then fun thing, back and forth. So fun being, relative. Okay, so just gonna go right in here. Anything else? Okay. So feature branches. Feature branches are when you have a workflow. Oh, also next year I will print out my notes instead of having them on my phone where I have to look at them and not you. Sorry. Okay. So feature branches are really, it's a concept of when you have a workflow where you create a branch from master or whatever you're using as your master for whatever, any feature or functionality, also known as feature, that you need to work on. So let's say you're building out an announcement content type. You create a feature-specific branch out of master, merge it into master when you're done, and then you're done with that. Then that's the end of that branch. You don't need it anymore. If you need to do more work later, you make a new branch for anything else that you need to do. Do you have a support ticket that someone submitted? You create a branch for that support ticket. You do the work you need to do, and then when it's done, you merge it into master, and then that's the last time you need to use that branch. That's the idea here. It's a really great diagram. So this is copied from this gist here, this idea here. It's another way to think about it if you like words. So yeah, if you're using feature branches religiously, you make sure that the master branch is always deployable. So nothing goes in there until it's actually ready to deploy. That's a polite thing to do anyway if you're working with other people, so that you don't have stuff in master branch that can't get deployed and then they're waiting on you and then you have a whole, it's not ideal. All changes are made through feature branches. You rebase to avoid, now rebasing, that's another, you don't have to rebase, but since I was referring to what someone else had said, to avoid resolve conflicts, merge into master. It's the same idea as this, but, and then here are some more links. These slides will be on the thing. This is fun. When you click on it, things move across your screen. Not across, but it's animated. Who doesn't like that? So when you create a feature branch, this is what it looks like. You go to your master branch, and then if you didn't, you may have known that you could create a branch with its own command, but you can actually say git checkout, and then if you do -b, and then the name of the branch you want to create, it creates the branch and it takes you to that branch. You do your stuff, you make your commits, and then probably you're going to share it up to your whatever shared environment, do one more work, whatever happens, and then when you're done, you go back to your master branch, and then you merge the feature branch into master. This part is kind of optional. You don't necessarily need to share it up. I don't know, in a lot of situations you're going to do that if you're working with other people. Now it's time for something fun. It's called Git Blame. It's great, you like it already, right? So, you know how you can look at the history of what's happened to a file by saying git log and then the path to the file to see a history of changes? Something else you can do is git blame path to file. So, what that looks like, slide 10. Okay. So I'm looking at this file, I can zoom in a little more. And it exists in GitHub just with this wonderful, so history is comparable to git log that gives you the commit history of this file. If I say git blame, and this is, I'll show it to you in command line also. This takes you line by line through the entire file and says, so the active version of the file that you're looking at right now, it says, this is where that line came from. This is when this line of this file came into its current existence. It tells you when it happened, the beginning of your commit message perhaps, and then who made the commit. And since this is GitHub, you'll see, oh my God, that's me. I knew I'd pick this one for a reason, and that's totally me. Yeah, so then if you're a command line, wildlife, here. If I want to say, HTML.html, okay. Git blame html.html.twig. So that's what that looks like. You can see all these things that my coworker Anthony did, and then every so often. And you can see that there's the commit hash on the left, your timestamp. Yes, a lot of these things happened on 5.16, but then we've got me here with this other commit. So when there's this is a really great, like, if you want to just kind of track down when something happened, and who did it, who you can go complain to, who you can blame, like literally, or who you can just really, it's just information, it's really helpful information. So that's git blame. Tags and releases. Who knows what a tag is? I actually need to know. Okay, so a tag, that's wonderful to know. So, as opposed to a branch, for example. So a branch is something that you create and then you can do work on it, and it exists in its own, it's something that you can do work, it's real. A tag is a moment in time. It's not releases. So the thing about tags and releases is that they're kind of sort of the same. Actually, in fancy words, a tag is a Git concept, and a release is a GitHub or other version control repository systems, BitBucket, GitLab, etc. Release is a concept for these, it's a higher level concept for these other tools. Both of them are moments in time. They are a single point in Git history. So, and then you have, okay, so I'm going to show you if I say, so I'm here on stuff, and if I want to go to the master branch, okay, so let's say I'm ready to, I want to share a tag up. I can say git tag, and I give it a name. So now there's a tag. That's the list. So if I check this tag out, see it's in this detached head state, and you can see it, this like here, the status part here. Oh, that's something I should cover. This status thing here doesn't quite look the same as everything else. So that means I can look around, make experimental changes and commit them. I can, it gives me a lot of information like right here. If you want to create a branch that, if you want the commits to stay, if you want to have them in your master branch, if you want them to be part of your life, then you need to do branch things. But if you just want to look around, maybe you want to go back in time also, like look at the state of your files at a point in history. That's what it's a moment in time. You're tagging it so that you can refer to it later. Maybe it gets a version. That's where we get into the more release territory. But you can create a tag without there being a release, because a release is something that happens on GitHub, BitBucket, GitLab, things like that. Tags you can do anywhere in the Git universe. PS, so it's a moment in time. That's the key. Both of them are moments in time. If you create PS, if you create an annotated tag, which is a tag with a message, similar to a commit message, then that tag has its own like commit message type of idea. And if you push it up to GitHub, GitHub actually automatically creates a release. So if I git tag, and I go. Excuse me, what did I do?
Already existing.
M, I need the M. Okay, so when you want to push, if I had just done git push, it would only push up like the changes on the master branch. But by doing git push tags, it pushes the tag up. So now if I go to here, this is that repository. Okay, and first of all, I can see that there's a tag listed here. Look at that. Also, it automatically created a release for me. The other thing about releases specifically on GitHub, I can't speak as much to BitBucket and GitLab, is that they consider releases to like have binary files that you can like get at. I obviously didn't create any binary files, but they're supposed to be something that if it's actual software you can download and then just use. So a lot of other repositories will have some sort of fancy scripts that like turn it into like just the files you need. You may have seen when you download software, you can either get like the full source of that software or you can just download the installer or whatever. That's the idea here. When there's a release, they're going to create just an installer, and then also, if you want to, you can get all of the files, the source files. I'm officially talking too long about tags.
What's the benefit of using a tag?
You mark a moment in time that you can refer back to, and then also, when you create a tag, even if you're not using GitHub and have releases specifically, you say that, let's say you put your production environment on this tag, so it's sitting right there, so even if things happen to master, your production environment won't get the changes to master because it's going to be sitting right on that tag, and it's going to stay in that moment in time until you put it on a new tag. But I really like just simply by marking a moment in time. So you can be like, that was that day that we finished the whatever, and we're calling it version 1 or something, you know, and then you can be like, that was just a marker to when we got to a point where it was like worth something. Hope that answers ish. Fun, that's another fun thing. I actually learned this week. I have been irritated in the past that if I want to see a deleted file, what was it? FCS main. Okay. Oh no, I put actually in the thing. Here. So I'd been irritated. I'm like, I know that that file was there before, and oh my God, all I want to do is know when it was removed, you know? But if I say git log, name of a file that's been deleted, it's going to say, this is not in your working tree. I don't know what file you're talking about. I've never heard of it. I don't think we know each other, you know? Apparently, if you use the -- syntax, you actually get to see the history of that file. And actually, if you look at man git log, it does like, no, not there. The -- is often part of Git syntax. It's supposed to tell Git if there's something getting weird or ambiguous or something like that. Using -- says the thing coming next is a path to something. It's a file path or a directory path. But I don't usually bother using it because it doesn't usually matter. Apparently, by using -- you get to see the history of a file that's already been deleted, which is super handy. Cherry picking. Cherry picking is simply grabbing a commit from one branch and putting it into another. So if I'm sitting on master, if I'm sitting here, okay, I want to get, oh, actually better than that. If I want to get this commit into my master branch, but maybe there are like lots of other commits on this other branch, and I don't want all of them, but I really want this one, I can say git cherry pick, and get that commit, and it'll just pull it into my master branch without getting any other commits. You can actually get a range of commits. My understanding is it's more recent versions of Git, but I don't know how recent is. It might be like 5 years at this point. In any case, usually I'm only grabbing one at a time though. In any case, and then it just adds it to master, and that's it. That said, I really like using the X option. When you do that, so sorry, I do just git cherry pick that. My history looks like this. It just puts that commit right at the top there. If I do it with the X option, that's not a real command. I just wanted to go quickly. It actually says cherry picked because the commit hash is new because it is a new commit. So I like having it here to say like this was cherry picked and it has the original hash. I just like that information. So I always use the X option. Bonus, it's not really fun per se, but it's also not very important. SHA and hash, you may SHA that you might see, on the internet and whatever. They mean the same thing in Git, not in like the rest of the world. But when we're talking about Git, they mean this. People are talking about the same thing when they say that. This is what it stands for. But in version control systems, we're not using it for the sake of security. If it says secure hash algorithm, you're using it for data. Whatever, the link is there. It's not actually that, it's just, I always wondered what it stood for. That's what it stood for. Turns out it was less interesting than I thought it was going to be. But they are the same. The key, I think, is that they are the same. People are talking about the same thing when they say that. I think that's nice to know. Oh, right, but wait, there's more. When it comes to hashes, you don't actually have to use the entire commit hash. It's super long. You totally can. Sometimes it's easier to just copy and paste the whole thing, but 7 characters is a normal short length. It's what you'll see on, like here, that's 7 characters. That's what GitHub would show you. Here you can also see these are all 7 characters. When you're looking at other releases here, see that's 7 characters. All of these things. That's like a normal length to show. So I'm just telling you, like I like to use just 7 characters when I'm talking about another commit in an email or whatever. So that's enough information to give another person for them to be able to know what commit you're talking about. Okay. Oh, I didn't give a little fun, I didn't warn you. This one's fun. Setting the commit author, i.e. to someone other than yourself. So it's really that simple. It's not very like climactic, but I mean, it's pretty cool. You can set the author to be someone other than yourself, i.e. someone else in your office who's not you, for fun, or like actually, it can be useful sometimes. Sometimes I've been like sitting with someone and we're doing all this work and then I end up making the commit and I just kind of feel weird having my name on it or whatever. Like they did all the whatever, so I just like put their name on it so that it looks, because they did it, I like to do that. And then actually it's smart enough to, if you only put partial information in there, it'll find the person. I'm not going to demonstrate this because I don't want to run out of time. But that's how that works. If I just put Anthony, who I know is a user in this repository, if I put just author equals, dash author equals Anthony, it'll fill in the rest if it can find an existing user in that repository that it'll use the first one that it finds that has that name. Forks and pull requests. Who knows what forks and pull requests are? Oh, that's awesome. Wow, cool. Okay, so they are cool stuff that you can do on GitHub and BitBucket and of course GitLab. They are not native Git things. They have really good descriptions of what these things are right on GitHub. They're the same concepts on GitHub and GitLab and BitBucket. Sometimes they're named different things. In GitLab, they're called merge requests. No, it is not yet available for the Drupal code. They say that it'll be in phase 2. I'm sure that it will be. I don't know when that'll be, but fork, it is a personal, I mean, this is just a really good explanation. So the link is in the slides. It's a personal copy of another user's repository that lives on your account. Anytime that you're on GitHub, and if you were to click this edit button on something that you don't have authoring rights to, you can see the help text there, or the tooltip says, edit the file in your fork of this project, in your fork of this project. If you don't have a fork yet, it'll say like, create a fork and make an edit. And then GitHub actually just kind of prompts you to like submit a pull request, like there's buttons, like just right there in your face. So, so after you fork, then you can do a pull request. You can actually do pull requests not just from forks, you can do it from a branch or whatever within the same repository. So pull requests are proposed changes to a repository. So on GitLab, which is the one that Drupal code, it'll be called merge requests. So that's what it'll be called eventually when that gets implemented for Drupal. So you submit these proposed changes. You could use this also just in a collaborative environment, like in your own office. It doesn't have to be people who you've never met. So it's a way to create a code review conversation, right? So if you submit a pull request, then it's there, you can comment, you can make additional changes, etc. Okay, fun. Git reflog. I also did not know about this until way too recently. I can't believe, oh my God. It's like the best. So Git reflog covers, it's every recent action that you've performed. So if I do, I might need to go to the master branch. Okay, so you may or may not have noticed while I was going kind of fast there, I made a change, but then I wanted to go back a commit, and so I did this reset. So when you do a hard reset, it doesn't show up in your log because you like literally erased that commit from history. But in Git reflog, it's like it's a record of every Git action I have performed recently. I don't know how far back it goes. But anyway, I mean, that's like really cool. And then you can actually go back in time. That's another thing to Google, but once you've done the reflog part, that'll take you to the next step of what you need to look up. Bonus, again, not necessarily fun, but also not super important. Oh, no, this one's important. So full, what was I? So disrespectful to myself. Okay, so this is I think it's a wonderful conflict resolution trick. Let's say you have one or more code conflicts during your merge or cherry pick or whatever. And let's say you know what the conflicts are and you know that you want your version or maybe you want their version and you don't want to have to like go through every single part of the file and you're like, oh my God, I know what they are. Can we just like, do I really have to manually everything? No, you do not. There are these fancy options that you can use on Git checkout. So it looks like this when you actually use it. So now I will show you using it. Show you what it looks like to use it. Okay, so I'm missing Alison. Okay, so I'm on stuff and things. I want to do git merge another branch that I know that I created that has conflicts in it. Okay, there's a conflict. I look at git status. Okay, so these are fine. This one, I can do like git diff and see what it is to make sure I know. I'm like, oh, I know that I want. So this is part of learning how to read a conflict and understanding what they mean. But the head part is the version of the code that's on the branch that you have currently checked out. So stuff and things, that's this part. And then the second section after these equal signs is the branch that you're merging in, the incoming code. So I know that I want to use my version, so I can say git my version on the branch that I'm currently on. So I can say git checkout ours. So I want to use the version that's on my active branch, so ours instead of theirs. That was that here, ours or theirs. And then path to file, readme. And now if I say, so to finish the merge, back when I do git status, it tells you what to do. When you're in a conflict resolution, it says fix the conflicts and then run. So now I need to add the readme, oops. And then I can commit. We'll do that, now I'm merged. And if I look at Okay, you know what? Really? Well, that is different. Okay, whatever. It has my version now, I swear. Whatever. Computers, just the freaking worst. Okay. It's great. And it was awesome, even though my computer doesn't want to show you. Okay. Next thing, less fun. Cherry picks, merges, rebasing. What are they? When do you want to use each one? There's a lot of personal preference. There's a lot of team best practices stuff involved. There's a lot of like on the project that you're working on, if it's not your team, that kind of stuff. So super, I'm gonna go as fast as I can here. Cherry picking is you grab that single commit or sometimes a series of commits. We talked about cherry picking. Merging, the one branch gets folded into the branch that you're on. So it just brings those commits into the branch that you're on. It keeps them where they were in history. It keeps their original hashes. All of that stuff, it just gets folded in. And then depending on the situation, there might be a merge commit, but other than that, there are no new commits. Rebasing is the branch that you're on, in theory, your feature branch. So let's say I'm on that announcement feature branch where I'm creating the announcement content type. And then, maybe other work has happened on master. Someone else is working on some other branch. They finished theirs first. They got their stuff on a master before I did. So now I need to get the latest from master. I could merge master in. Another way that some teams like to do it, there are other pros and cons, but the way some teams do it is I would pull down the latest master, and then I'd say while I'm on my announcement branch, I'd say git rebase master. What it does is rewind the commits that are on my announcement branch, put those commits that are on master onto my branch, and then it applies the commits that I have made only on my branch on top of those, so that my commits are actually they are the most recent that happen in history. So you end up with some commits, so I guess that's what I'm getting, yeah. So my branch gets rewinded, so that the commits on master that don't exist on my feature branch are put on my feature branch, and then the commits that are unique to my feature branch get reapplied on top of my feature branch. Clear? It's all set. So just some benefits, drawbacks. Cherry pick does create new commits and then if you do merge the branch that had that commit that you pulled in, so on my Alison branch where I brought in that change to the README, if I were to later on merge that branch in, you might end up with duplicate commits sometimes. That's just the way that goes. So many people don't like that, I can understand. So the date order of commits can get weird because I pulled that commit in and it actually still has the original date when you're looking at it, but it's gonna get listed in commit history where I am when I made the commit. So it's going to say, it said June 6th or something when I cherry picked it in, even though today is July something. And so that can get weird. Merges. Merge commits can be annoying, specifically if you're a Pantheon user, which we are, everything we do is on Pantheon. Merge commits hide all of the commits inside of the merge commit. So that's not necessarily a problem, except that the Pantheon dashboard implies that you're actually looking at a full commit log. If it didn't imply that you're looking at everything, I think it wouldn't matter, but since it makes you think you're looking at everything, it can get like, wait, where's that commit? More importantly, perhaps, because it's not Pantheon specific, they're really difficult to undo. It's like they're very difficult to undo. And it can be difficult to see what was in that merge commit, which commits came in. That's just really not easy to see. Rebasing, so the existing commits, the date order gets manipulated in a rebase. So that if that's, that can be important to you, that the commit dates make sense when you're looking at the history. It can also be it depends on you really want to be doing it all the same on your team, because if you rebase and other people on your team are not rebasing, then the upstream becomes different for them and they have to do a whole thing when they pull down. Point being, if you're doing rebasing, you should really only do that if everyone's doing rebasing, or it's going to be an unnecessary hassle for the other people on your team. That's the simplest way to say that. The rest of the explanation is just as complicated as my original explanation of rebasing. If you want to learn more, this is a really nice explanation on the internet. Ugh, that's over. Fun. Merge branch cleanup. This is something Kirsten brought up to me yesterday, and I actually do have, so this is one line. I don't.
Oh, sure, tell everyone I have dirty branches.
Me too. I'm hoping that yeah, whatever. Anyway, this is what I do, except I have it saved in a text file, so I can always copy and paste it. Of course, there's probably a way I could write it. Well, not probably. There's definitely a way I could, you know, put this into a bash script, but I haven't. So if I run that, let's see, which one do I want to run this on? Okay. Let's see what happens. Hopefully there are some here. I mean, these are a lot of, you can look these up, but I don't know if you really care. This line, okay. Unable to, okay. What if I do? Okay, thanks, Composer. It makes life so much better. Okay, so what it did was it deleted every branch that I have locally that doesn't have any commits that are not in master. So all of these branches have been fully merged into master. There's nothing on them that is not on master. So now I don't need those branches anymore, and this is a much easier way to find out, you know, what those are, and it just deletes them for me. Yeah. So I just save it in a text. It's not like I'm going to memorize that. I don't really care what it says. I'm just going to copy and paste it. And I have it in my Git config, like with my aliases. So it's like next to all of my aliases. I'm like, oh yeah, that I didn't make a script for. Okay. On a related note, what are some other like code cleanup things? So here I've got all this mess of whatever. I've got all these things. Oh, right, I did a composer update so that I would have a mess. And let's say, oh, I actually don't want to deal with these module updates right now, so I want to get rid of all of it. So anytime that I need to do that, I do a git checkout and then the -- dot, because I want to, so what this will do is discard any uncommitted changes to tracked files. So when you look at your git status, so changes not staged for commit, but they are tracked files. So when I do that, now all that's left are these untracked files. Okay, what do I do about them? I do this. I say git clean df. If I want to see what's going to happen, I can say git clean nd, and that'll do a dry run first. So this removes any untracked files or directories. The D means directory, the F means to force it. So git clean. If I do the dn, it'll say this would remove that thing, that directory, right? So then if I want to actually do it, all that, look, I'm green. Yay. So that's what I would do anytime I have like just a mess of files. This is the best slide ever. So I enjoy swearing, so this is fun and whatever. This is the exact same thing as this, but without swears. It's great. It's really, really great. Also, I will say I actually use this other one more. It's a really thorough, choose your own adventure. Like most of the time, if people ask me for help with some mess that they're experiencing with Git, it's not like I memorize all of these things. I go here, and then they tell me exactly what to do. Like, choose your own adventure. You know what that is. This is that. Bookmark it. You want it in your life. And then there's also this other one that has swear words that are fun. Yes, I'm going to keep going. Oh, so I put my aliases on GitHub. So that git clean df, I don't type that. I have my clean go. Oh, cleaning remote branches. So like if there are, sorry. It doesn't actually remove remote branches. This command, remote prune origin, it prunes your local record of what remote branches exist. So it goes through and sees, oh, it turns out that remote branch doesn't exist in the remote anymore. So it'll remove that from your local understanding of what exists out there in the world. Branch sort by committer date. I like to use that sometimes because I'm like, how old are these branches? And what this does is it shows me a list of the branches that I have, and it sorts them by date. So I can see how old they are, because what I used to do was like check out each branch and look at the last commit. And that's like not efficient. Uncommit I use all the time. Anytime that it turns out that I can't push because I didn't pull first, you know, but I don't like merge commits, so then I uncommit what I just did. So it's just resetting your head only back one. So it's not actually going to, so I just know that that's what that is. I use uncommit all the time. And then I can pull down, make a new commit, push. I use the git last all the time. These are great, I think, whatever. So, and then I also have in my regular bash alias file, so that's not in the git config, it's in the regular bash alias file. I just have, so I can just say master and it takes me to master. Okay, taking a breath. So I know one pain point about detached heads. I feel like I did do some research about that Kirsten brought up with me yesterday. It kind of depends on how you got there and what you're looking to have happen when you have a detached head state. It's really, how did you get there? What was, why are you in a detached head state? And then what do you want to happen next? Do you want to keep some changes that you've made, or do you not need the changes? So that's that kind of stuff. I want to open it up since we'll be hanging out. I want to open it up to anyone else. Do you have pain points that you want to share or ask about? Yes?
I run into it on projects where I haven't rebased, if the team wants to be doing rebasing, and sometimes, I've come to the point where I just basically would make physical copies of the files outside of Git. I would just reset everything back to where it wasn't in a detached head state and try to copy in, but at times that can be extremely error-prone.
Yeah, so he's talking about how if you don't rebase for a while, if you've been working on a branch maybe for a while, there's a long-running branch, and then you need to rebase, and it's just so many things, and you're so much more likely to have conflicts, but the workflow on your team might be a rebasing workflow, so you have to do it. And he's saying a trick that he has is to just kind of copy the files that he knows he changed just outside the repository, and then just bring his repository back to what it is for the rest of the, maybe you just kind of, you can also just delete your copy of the repo and reclone it so that you know that it's clean, and then copy your files back in, that kind of a thing. So that appropriately summarize the idea.
Yes.
You don't have to necessarily delete the repository, but you might decide you want to because it's just less work. Thank you for sharing. Yep.
If you want to delete a file forever from your history, you have a good way to do that. Like, for example, someone might accidentally commit information that is sensitive.
I don't know how to do that. Does anyone know how to do that for it to have never existed ever? Not just to delete it from the, yeah.
You use something called BFG Repo Cleaner.
Oh, it's an application? I'll even use Google so it goes faster. Friends.
Yeah.
Okay. I will definitely put that in the slides. Thank you. I was going to come out of this. Okay, so we had the thing about.
I like to know it's Allison.
Huh?
Allison switched to the.
Yeah, I know. Someday I'll get fancier and know how to make it so that like the slides are here and I can see my notes here, but that's just so many things. I'll know what to say there. Delete file from. BFG repo cleaner. I'll add the real link. Thank you. That's kind of, we can talk about it, yeah.
And just one other sort of general question. Do you like to squash commits when you merge, or? Are you
I have not gotten into that.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about squashing?
I mean, I don't know that much about it. I've seen it as an option and have considered doing it when you have like a lot of commits that maybe are sort of unnecessary.
Almost the same, so it
Yeah.
gets just squished into the merge. Does it become, okay, so he's talking about, for the recording, use squashing commits when you do a merge. So especially if you've got like a dozen commits that are like, nope, that's not the right CSS rule, that's not the right CSS rule over and over and over again, right? And then you're like, this is the one, do we really need a dozen of those commits? So when you merge in, it would squash them together. So I'll make a note of squash. I haven't gotten into that. I think that's a fun idea. Yep.
What annoys me is this would overwrite these untracked files.
Say that one more time, sorry.
This would overwrite these untracked files. If they're untracked, why do you care if they're going to be overwritten? It's sort of like the government saying you're not supposed to be in our database, but you are.
I'm really glad that we brought it to the government having information about us. Yeah. The only thing I can think, so he asked about when you get a message when you're doing your Git things, probably switching branches, I would imagine. And it tells you, this will overwrite your untracked files. Yeah, more commonly you're going to see like it will overwrite like local changes that you've made to presumably tracked files. The only thing I can think of is if someone else has made those become tracked files or made a change to git ignore. I can't imagine why that would. I don't know that I've experienced that, but
You're lucky.
yeah, wow. I'm just really clean and organized and don't run into things like, my repos are just, sparkling. No, do you know like a reliable way to reproduce it that I could show that? Okay, that's fine, but, okay, so I'll put something like, because even if you do a git stash, it doesn't do anything with untracked files, right? It only stashes tracked files?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll also put something in about the colors. I don't know how many people have that, but it's just so nice to have all of the, I've had it for so long I forget that it's a thing, telling you what branch you're on, having the green, red, yellow. It's just so nice. Yeah, I will look at that and put it in the slides. Or does someone already know the answer to that? I'm sorry, I should have asked. Someone know the answer to why that would happen? When Git says it's going to overwrite untracked files if you switch branches, why would it concern itself with untracked files? Why would it do that?
Sometimes it does it if, say, you add a library to your local copy of the repository and someone else does it, commits it.
Okay.
And before you've committed it, you want
Yeah.
to pull down.
Well, that makes sense to me.
That's where I usually run
Okay,
into it.
so yeah, so he's saying that sometimes it'll happen if you've added a library and it turns out someone else added a library and they got the commit into the master branch in the cloud before you did. And then now if you switch branches, now you have that. So that's how that could happen. That makes sense to me. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yes?
It's not a pain point, but I really love stash and pop.
Yeah, absolutely. So git stash and pop. So I'm on this branch and I've got this thing here, but I don't want to bring it along with me. Or maybe actually if I switch to the master branch, it's going to be like, nope, you can't do that because you have changes to one of your files here that'll get overwritten if you change branches. It could also just be that you need to work on something else. It might have nothing to do with anyone else on your team. You might just need to do something else. So if you do git stash, we're not going to saved working directory and index is now on this other thing. And then I can say git. You can actually change directories and then pop that stash onto the other directory. How cool is it I can just say master? I'm just saying aliases are awesome. Okay, and I can say git stash pop, and pop is going to, like in an array or a list or something, depending on your programming language.
A stack.
Pardon me?
It's called a stack.
Oh, okay. So it's going to take the most recent one. and it'll pop it back out. And then there's like, I don't know if it's a dash list or just list. Okay, it's just list. So, and then I need to look up the exact command, but you can pick, oh, sorry, person here said that that's called a stack, the lists of stashes that are available to you. So it's saying that I have, this is the one that'll come if I say git stash pop. It's weird that that's the 0 and we'd say the I guess it bumps everything down 1 when you stash something instead of, that seems a little counterintuitive, but whatever. So if I needed to get the older stash instead of the most recent one, I'd say git stash pop some option that I haven't memorized to get number 1 instead of number 0. But if I just want git stash pop, if I just want the most recent thing that I've stashed, I'd say git stash pop. Hey, look, there's a no changes. That's good. I thought there was a conflict at first. It's not. Anyway, so now I have that on my active branch. I know we're over time. Totally understand if you have to go. Are there any other questions or things that you want to? Yeah.
So it's kind of on the same subject. I have a habit, and I'm worried it's a bad habit. I use git stash all the time without ever having the intent of popping.
Oh, okay. You just want this stuff to go away?
Kind of.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
Is there a better way to do that?
Yes, yes. So that's and I will refer you to slides 38 and 39. So the git checkout, I'm sure there's a really technical explanation for why checkout does this. Checkout either switches branches or it discards local changes to tracked files. Discard uncommitted changes to tracked files, or actually unstaged or uncommitted. Unstaged or uncommitted changes to tracked files. So if I say git checkout, I always put the whole thing in there because I don't know, I just want to be specific there. So the dash says what's coming next is a path to a file or directory. That's just a general thing in Git. If you say dash, the next thing is supposed to be a file path or directory path. And then the dot is here, wherever you are now. That's what it's going to do. So it won't go behind me. It won't. Well, it'll go recursively, but.
Do you actually lose that?
I'm sorry?
Do you actually lose access to that? Because like in stash, you can always go back and sort of like figure out.
I don't think it's in the stash stack anymore.
Right,
So yeah, if I go git stash, yeah, it's not there anymore.
no, correct.
Yeah, but that's because I popped it.
So he specifically said that he's stashing something never to.
Oh,
no,
yes,
he's
sorry,
throwing
I
off.
forgot the
That's why he's
original.
throwing
Yeah,
it
so the
away.
question originally was, sorry, recording. The question originally was, the person was saying that they do a lot of stashing often with no intention of ever popping. They're just trying to get things to go away, and it's just like, I just need this to not be there. And also Git prompts you when you're changing branching. It's like, if you want, you can stash your changes. So it's like telling you, here's a way you can get it through this, challenge in your life. So do it this way. So that's understandable. So another way to do that instead of stashing things that you have no intention of popping is to use git checkout. I know it doesn't seem like that command would do that, but it does. Any other thoughts? Thank you guys so much. Oh, yep, no, right here. The slides will be on the session. I just have to make a PDF and then I'll put them on the session. And then also the aliases. So this is actually just a list of highlighted aliases. There are more. And that link is there. I guess I'll put the link in the, feels weird to publicize it that much, but I'll put the link in there too, in the session. Thank you so much.